Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the Gnarly Gnome. This is Cincy Brewcast. It's the voice of Cincy Craft. Welcome back. I'm on a roll. I'm actually putting out episodes. You know, like, I thought that having multiple shows would be smart at one point. I was like, oh, I can just, if I want to talk about this, that's what this show's for. And I want to talk about this, that's what this show's for. Little did I know that also means you have to split your time between 3 different shows.
That's how it goes, man.
I still love Cincy Brewcast the best because I love craft beer in this city. And I assume that if you're subscribed to the show and you're listening, you do too. I also assume that if you're subscribed to this show, you know the voice of today's guest, Andy Reynolds.
Hi.
Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Alexandria Brewing Company. 2 locations.
Yeah.
So, close to 2 locations.
Yeah.
Although, look, I'm going to be honest. There's still some work to do.
Yeah, just a little. It's,
it is getting there. I know that there are a lot of people chomping at the bit to see you guys open up this location here in Westchester. Westchester, this is the outpost. Is that what we're calling it?
We're calling it the Westchester Outpost, but that's kind of just, it's still Alexandria Brewing Company at the end of the day. I mean, that's just something that we can have to differentiate in our systems and stuff like that, and for Google. So this way it's not just Alexandria Brewing Company.
You're going to need to put some big map on the wall with a big dot on Alexandria so all of the people up here in Westchester know exactly where Alexandria is.
Everybody thinks it's where NKU is, which NKU is in Highland Heights, so it's kind of
like halfway there.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a little further than that.
It's only 5 miles from NKU, but the issue is the lights, right? I mean, there's like 800 lights between NKU and our brewery.
So to get from here in Westchester to get to the brewery in Alexandria, how many miles is it? Have you checked?
I think it's 38.
Like that's not crazy.
No,
but it feels for a lot of people up here that it's the other side of the universe.
I mean, it kind of is. You know, here we're north of the wall, to quote Andy Foltz, and then down there I'm way south of the. I mean, if you're looking at 275. We're north of 275 here, and down there we're south of 275.
Right.
We're about as far south as Greater Cincinnati goes.
And for those of us that do live up on this side of Greater Cincinnati, like sometimes there's not really an easy way to do it. Like it's sometimes it's quicker to go all the way around to get down there, and it's like instead of going straight through. So it's a hard spot for a lot of people up here to get to, and I get that. And that, I think, is why this is so exciting for me. I can get here in like 15 minutes from my house now.
That's awesome.
I'm going to spend a lot of time bellied up to the bar here. I'm excited for it. We should drink a beer to kick things off, and we'll talk about kind of what is happening here, why it's happening here, and what people can expect. But we are drinking Ale of Eris. Ale of Eris. Tell me about the beer. Tell me about the name. Tell me about what we're drinking.
So it is lemon raspberry Berliner. We add a hint of vanilla in it, just a couple of vanilla beans at the end of fermentation, just to kind of give it like almost like it's like a cake tart.
It's like vanilla is like almost like fake sweetness. Not fakes, but that's the wrong way to say it. Sweetness without like sweetness. Like it adds this other thing that gives me the perception of sweetness without it being like sugary sweetness.
Right.
And I think that, in my opinion, every kind of light crushable sour beer should have vanilla in it. I've now on that bandwagon.
It is just a hint too, and there's no lactose, so it's not like what you'd call a smoothie sour or anything like that. We actually ferment most of the raspberry out, but then we add it back in right before bottling. But then it also gets pasteurized, so cans don't explode.
Which, for the record, if you're making beers where your cans might explode, you're doing something wrong. Your cans should never explode. It's not part of the beer process. It's not something that consumers are doing wrong. If your cans explode, you did something wrong. Let's throw that out there.
Well, I mean, there are companies that do it, and they say keep refrigerated. I'm of your same opinion. I mean, really, what it comes down to is you have to pasteurize if you're using fermentable stuff.
Right.
After you're done with fermentation. Even if you're filtering, even if you're using filtering agents, even if you're going through like a centrifuge or whatever, some residual yeast is going to carry over, and the only way to make sure that that's gone is pasteurization. So that's kind of, it keeps it from eating the sugar that you put back into it, right? So any kind of flavoring, any kind of fruit that you put in that has sugar in it is going to cause re-fermentation, and that's how your cans explode.
Well, like if people want to make beers that are maybe not shelf stable, like I'm not opposed to that. I don't care. But don't let it leave your tap room. Like keep it there and do your thing there or whatever.
Well, if it's not shelf stable, I mean, it's keg stable and shelf stable are two different things, right? I mean, you're putting it into this is going to sit on a shelf for who knows how long, right?
And
Once
God
it leaves
knows,
your tap room,
and God knows what temperatures. And,
right. So if you're distributing, especially if you're distributing, you should never do that, right? It should always be pasteurized. You're asking your distributor and the retailer to keep it at a certain temperature, and then you're asking your consumer to keep it at a certain temperature.
Which let's throw that out there right now. I'm gonna say something that I don't know that I've really talked about. If you're a retailer and you are selling what I'll call better beer, and you're not refrigerating all or most of it in 2025, you're doing something wrong. I get that like fridge space is expensive and it takes up weird spaces and stuff. I don't care if you want to be a reputable beer store and you want to be a place that I tell people to go to get their beer, refrigerate your beer.
I disagree with you there, but
that's how I feel. I think that we understand that it helps beer last longer. It helps beer stay fresh. It helps it helps consumer perception of the beer.
Especially when you're talking about like an IPA or anything hop heavy, that's really, it needs to stay refrigerated the best you can, because people complain about the date codes on the bottom of an IPA, but if it's kept cold, that's not as big of a deal.
I've had some fairly old IPAs from local breweries before that held up really, really, really well, and that's not just because it stayed refrigerated. That has also obviously to do with some of the packaging practices of some breweries versus other ones. But
there's a lot with that. I mean, the problem with IPAs in general is oxidation, right? You're dry hopping a beer. You're giving it the opportunity to introduce oxygen in fermentation. Then after fermentation, you're running into packaging where it can pick up. I mean, you're talking hints of oxygen, but if it picks that up immediately, that's going to start making that IPA, and that's where you run into, especially like New England IPAs or anything like that. That's where you run into a bad shelf life on them, right?
Well, we've all seen it. You crack open your New England IPA and you pour it out, and it, instead of looking like bright, beautiful orange juice or whatever, it looks like murky, disgusting river water.
Well, and it's got that. It's some people call it nutty. I like to think it reminds me of like the smell of wet cardboard. That's just what happens. Now you give that longer. If it's got a high enough ABV, it'll convert into a barley wine, which could be awesome. Could be awesome, but not necessarily. Municipal. I'll shout them out. They've got anniversary IPA they put out, an Imperial IPA with honey in it. It's a great, fresh, beautiful, big IPA. I've had bottles that at this point are how long have they been around? Are they at, I think they're close to 10 years.
Are they at 9 or are they at 10? No, they might be around so that long. And they turn into like this really great barley wine kind of thing. Still a little hoppy, and then the honey kind of comes out more. It does cool things, and they bottle it, so there is maybe in theory a little bit of oxygen that's coming in versus in cans.
Cans, and I think you can pick up just as much oxygen. Not to cut you off there, but it's rougher. It's a lot easier to pick it up in bottles than it is in
theory.
Cans.
I've heard that the bottle caps, no matter how good your seal is, will eventually start letting oxygen in.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same.
That's what I've heard. I've never done a study.
I mean, you're talking years upon years, though. I mean, you're not talking like within. It's the same sealant that they use in the top of a can lid. It's that paraffin wax or whatever you want to call it.
But the can has that kind of like a knuckle kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's not happening with a bottle.
No,
cap.
You're right.
It's just grabbing.
Right. Well, it's crimped around that top lip of the bottle. I mean, in theory, that should be kind of crimped around it. That's why you got to pry it off instead of just.
Okay. And I guess it depends if we are talking about some kind of a machine that's capping them. I think they're all hand capped, right?
Probably. No, there's machine capping.
But at a place like
municipal's hand capping. I'm hand capping.
So you're depending on the person getting that good. Like there's a lot of
you're talking about the Emily capper. Those right there are trouble anyways. That's a homebrew thing.
Right.
They're not going to hold as well as if you have like a bench capper or anything like that, And even though those can be homebrew things, they're expensive homebrew things, right? So it's kind of...
How did we already get so nerdy a couple minutes into this episode?
I don't know. I'm bad at that.
Back to this beer.
Oh, sorry. All right.
No, I welcomed this by talking about oxygen in my beers. This reminds me of like a raspberry lemonade. Like this is something that like I just want to sit out in the sun. Looks sunny outside. If you're watching the video, you can see it looks sunny. It's not. It's cold. But if it was warm outside, this is what I want to drink when it's warm.
Yeah. No, we found that a lot of people like this that aren't necessarily beer drinkers, right? Like if we have somebody that's mad that we don't have a certain flavor of High Noon,
right?
Or we have somebody that wants like a wine spritzer or something like that, we suggest them, we'll pour them a little sample and just say, hey, try this. Because they'll say, I don't like beer.
Yeah.
Now they like beer. It's weird. Because I drank the crap out of this beer, and to me it's beer. But to them, it's not as beery, I guess.
Well, yeah, there's some kind of perception of what beer has always tasted like in people's lives. And even though craft beer has been around for a long time now, it still is new to a lot of people. They still think of beer as Bud Miller Coors, the stuff that their dads and their grandpas or grandmas or whoever was drinking beer in their house was drinking. And that does have a very standard flavor profile. It's yellow, fizzy, a little bit boring beer. There's such a wide spectrum to that I still think that there is this huge group of people that they still are not familiar with it. It used to be that when you would sit down at a tap room, you would see a lot of that people come in and I don't really like beer. What do you have? And it's like, well, do you like coffee or do you like wine or like what do you drink? And then we've got something that might kind of match some of those flavor profiles that you're looking for. It's not that you don't like beer, you don't like this flavor that's in your head. And this is definitely one of those beers that I think can connect with people. If you're a cider drinker and you guys have cider, but
it's Northwood cider though, it's not ours.
But if there isn't cider, this is a beer that would connect with those people. If you're a wine drinker, this is something that would connect with those people. If you're a sour beer drinker, because there are a lot of those now, this is what you're looking for.
Well, and the one thing that we do with a lot of our beers now, and we don't actively advertise it, but we put Brewer's Clarex in it, which, if you don't know, that's an enzyme that breaks protein or breaks gluten down. Turns it into two other protein chains. So people who are gluten sensitive or even celiacs can drink it. We've sent it out for testing several times, and every time it's come back under detectable levels.
I've had a lot of people reach out just in like DMs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That they'll like, what is a good gluten-free beer around here that I can drink? And I'm like, well, like if you're actually looking for something that technically is gluten-free, there's only one place you can go, and that's what used to be Rolling Mill. It's now Gravel Road. They have a part of their system that they dedicate just to a gluten-free beer or two, I think. But there are a whole bunch of places that are using that Clarex stuff that you might want to try and just see how it affects you, because you might be fine.
Well, most people are going to be fine from it. I mean, I hate to say that, but it is.
There was somebody that I connected with. I cannot remember for the life of me which brewery it was off the top of my head, but they reached out and they said, "Look, our head brewer, one of our owners, or somebody is."
Sorry, I keep burping.
Is technically celiac. I don't know if we're supposed to say it that way. That might be offensive. Has celiac disease, is affected with celiac disease, or whatever.
That's good enough. Whatever.
My wife will get on me.
I think everybody knows what you mean.
My wife gets on me if I identify somebody by an affliction that they have or some kind of whatever. And this person, whoever it was, said, and I wish I could remember. Maybe if I remember, I'll put it in the show notes. can drink our beers, and it's not an issue at all.
Yeah.
And I know Mad Tree is one of the ones that most of their beers they use the Clarex too, and although they're not gluten free.
They're the legal term is
get.
gluten reduced, and that's because you started with a beer that had gluten in it, or you started with a product that had gluten in it, and then you took it out.
You reduced it all the way down to almost nothing.
Well, it's everything
nothing.
that we've sent into test is beyond detectable levels.
Right.
So that means they can't detect it in the equipment that they have for testing.
Right.
That means it's low.
Right.
Right. We don't actively advertise it. We'll talk about it if somebody asks, but there is a perception to what gluten-free beer tastes like too, right? I mean, and it's not a good one.
Right.
So what we do is we say, look, we have these options. Start slow with them. Make sure it's not going to affect you too bad. If it doesn't, then you can go.
Well, and that's a good point too, because I've often made the joke, like when I've had gluten-free beers, like either on this show or on something else, that are gluten-free beers, which I'm referring to as the beers that are made with some other grain that does not have gluten in it. That like the beer's fine, but it's just missing something, and it's gluten that it's missing, and it's like it's not really that because you can have beers or other beverages that don't have gluten in it that are fine.
Well, so gluten for a long time was considered body in beer, right? But they figured out that it's not.
Right.
It's not at all. The only thing it really does, and this is what Clarex was developed for, is when beer gets cold, it makes it hazy. So a long time ago, one of the big breweries figured out a way to get rid of that haze, which is
something that's
Brewers
like
Clarex.
latching. It's latching on to whatever those things are that are creating the haze or whatever in the product. And
well, no,
it's
the actual protein itself that is gluten. Gluten's a protein, right. And what it does is it starts freezing at a colder temperature than your beer freezes at. Right. So what you're getting is that freezing up, and it's making it hazy. It's making it appear cloudy.
But then Clarex
But then when it warms up, that cloud will go away.
And the Clarex is coming in there and just kind of binding to that and letting it like get heavy enough essentially to drop out.
So they call that chill haze. No, that's not what Clarex breaks that protein. It's an enzyme, and it breaks gluten into two other protein chains that your body will not react the same as it does with gluten.
So it's still I'm trying to think of a way to.
It's still in. It's still the two proteins are in there, but they're not going to come back together and form gluten in your body or anything like that. What happens is that if you don't use it in a high enough dosage, there could be some residual gluten in it, which is the concern. And that's why it's called gluten reduced instead of gluten free. It's also because it started as a gluten product and now it's not. But so we reduce the gluten out of it. Most of the time, you're reducing it down to zero.
Right.
But we can't say that for sure just because it goes under testing parameters, right? So, and they're testing to, I think, the millionth in that. So that means there's 0 parts per million, but there could be like 1 part per billion. And if you're that sensitive, then maybe it'll flare you up.
But if you're that sensitive, maybe like I don't know that I would be hanging out in a tap room either.
Exactly, right?
There's so much stuff floating around in the air and things like that I don't know that would be a spot that I would go.
Right. And I think that's kind of where it gets to be tricky with it, right? But most people are not that sensitive.
Right.
I mean, most people with celiac disease aren't that sensitive.
I mean, in theory, if you're that sensitive, there's probably like dust that's settling onto the top of the cans that probably has some gluten in it that might cause an issue.
I mean,
I don't know.
if you're at a brewery, yeah, but if you're in a tap or if you're in like a beer bar or something like that where brewing's not being conducted,
right?
I think you're okay,
right?
But most celiacs,
unless they're making pizza and tossing dough around behind, God knows. Who knows?
I worked for Mellow Mushroom, and that was the first place I'd ever heard of somebody doing something gluten-free.
Did they have a separate space?
They have a separate room to make the pizza.
Like that.
They cook it in the same oven, but it's a separate room that they prepare the pizza. They make the dough, so they got to change out their gloves. The bakers do.
I worked at a pizza place when I was in high school, and like you would come home and like I was always covered in like flour and shit. Like it's got to be in the air.
So if you ordered gluten-free crust, they were trained to ask you if you're celiac or if you just want gluten-free, and if they said no, I'm a celiac. Then you would go into we'll
make your pizza in the closet.
Yeah. I mean, they had a dedicated room that was like completely separate from everything else, where there was no flour. They had to change their apron when they went in there. They had to put on special gloves. I mean, it was, but I think the entire time I was there, and I was just bartending there, but I think the entire time I was there, maybe one person ordered it because they were actually celiac and were concerned about it. Most people said, no, you can just make it with the regular stuff. Yeah, again, it's not going to mess with me too bad.
If it's that, like, I assume a pizza place is probably the same. Like, if you are that, like, sensitive to it, you probably just avoid a pizza place. Like, you just don't go there.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Not
but
that they shouldn't be allowed to, but, like, I mean, I don't know. Like,
but they're tossing dough in front of everybody, and that's not messing with them, you know, so I don't know if it's even something that's breathable. I think it's got to be palletized, and I think it has to be heavy enough that it affects your system.
I don't know. We need to do some studies. We need to start throwing dough at people and see what happens. This is a great beer. That's the moral of all of this that we've been talking about. This is a wonderful beer. Like I said, it to me is definitely a warm weather beer. But what it does for me on days like today, like as I'm sitting inside and it is sunny outside, I drink this and it makes me feel like it's going to be warmer outside than it is right now.
I just like it because it's quenching. Honestly, that's you know, we decided that we're going to make this year round. It used to just be a summer beer for us, but now we're going to can it and have it available year round because it's one of our best sellers. Sure. I mean, it honestly is, and it's because dead of winter, if you're thirsty, you're thirsty.
Well, and there are plenty of nights where I know I'm probably only going to have one or two beers, and if it's two, sometimes I don't want them to be heavier beers, so the bigger beers. I want to drink something that's kind of on the heavier side, and then I just want something that's going to kind of be quenching or crushable or whatever you want to call it. And this is kind of where that beer fits in for me a lot. This is the type of beer that I find myself filling more of my fridge with because it fits into more situations, I guess.
Yeah.
Great beer.
Thank you.
Really well done. You might be onto something with this whole brewing thing. Let's talk about Westchester.
All right.
How did this idea to open a second location come about?
Honestly, we've been looking, I don't want to say since we've started, but it's kind of been a back burner idea since you know, we started growing in Alexandria that, hey, we're going to run out of space here. Alexandria is going to be, I mean, right now we're at a point in our tap room where on our busiest days of the year, we have people that just walk out because there's absolutely no seats.
And this is not something that I will say to say you're doing something wrong, but there are plenty of days that I walk in and I get there kind of early. I'm an afternoon kind of drinker. I like to go and I like to sit and have some lunch and grab a beer. And the bar's full. It's like it'll be like 2:30 in the afternoon and the bar is full. And I'm like, all right, like, it's fine. I can still sit at a table.
Right.
But I don't want to. And like, and that is a product of a tap room that just has built such a wonderful culture in Alexandria. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? But it's a sign that there are people that want to be drinking your beer.
A lot of that has to do with my staff, though, too. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to get some really good people over the past couple of years come on board with us, and Dale and Dave in particular have created a culture there that our newer bartenders are all glad to be part of, you know, and we want to carry that on up here too. But at the end of the day, if we want to grow as a company and get into a new space in Alexandria, and that's a big if, then we have to generate more revenue to do that. And the other thing is it's also like, we have people driving down from Westchester that ask us to open a tap room. We have people driving down from Mason that ask us to open a tap room. We have people coming up from Lexington. So we were looking at Lexington, Mason, Westchester, a little bit into Liberty Township, and a little into Louisville. But Louisville was kind of like that's not really where we want to go at this point, but you know, if an opportunity opens itself, and we thought we had a place in Lexington. I mean, we were pretty close to pulling the trigger, and then it became a bidding war on rent and on buying the old equipment. And there was absolutely no place that we could have brewed a beer down there, which kind of hurt me.
Right.
Just the way that room was set up. had a much bigger kitchen than even what we have here in Westchester, but it was a great opportunity. And it didn't happen. But they say all things happen for a reason, and pretty much like 2 months after we gave up on looking for spaces because it was just getting tougher and tougher in Lexington to find anything, the opportunity up here opened up. So, we started negotiating with the old occupants, and unfortunately we didn't make it through negotiations with them, and we wound up signing with just talking to the landlord up here. It's a situation where, they were at the end of the business and they were hemorrhaging money, and they didn't want to stay open. So the landlord up here offered us an opportunity, and we kind of jumped on it.
This is an incredible taproom space. Like it is. I don't know if a lot of people understand how great it is for lots of different reasons, but it is a massive bar, a huge open space. Now that the brew house is gone, it opens up a whole second side of the tap room that opens up even more space.
Yeah.
You guys, I don't want to say everything that you've done here, but you came in, you opened up the wall into the side where the food is. So no longer do people have to walk outside and walk around the corner to get their food. It's all connected in the same space. There's now a big garage door that opens that side up too. Like there's so many things that I think even if people came here once or twice, they'll walk in and they'll be like, "Oh my God, this is way better than I remember it being." And like I think that's a good thing.
I hope so. I mean, and there's only so much we can do with this space too, because at the end of the day, it's still, we want it to have that same feel. It's an open environment. We want everybody welcoming open environment, I guess. Yeah.
Talk about that kind of the personality of tap rooms, because, if you look back, even like, 6 or 7 years ago, you look back then, it seemed like there was definitely a model of what a tap room is supposed to look like. Well, and then in the preceding years and right kind of prior to COVID and definitely after COVID, it seems like when people are opening tap rooms, they all feel like restaurants. And I know that like we need to have food at places. That's become clear for tap rooms to be successful.
Well, but I think a lot of what you're kind of getting at is, and I'm probably going to put my foot in my mouth when I say this, but a lot of places have kind of moved away from like a heart and soul to like just a blank generic tap room or blank generic bar.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even necessarily call them blank and generic, because I think some of like the blank generic tap rooms are kind of fun too. Like I'm still okay sitting in a warehouse and drinking at a picnic table. Yeah. I'm still okay with that.
But see, I'm not okay with the picnic table aspect of it, and I've never been okay with that. I mean, you want people to be comfortable. Like part of what a tap room was to me, at least when I got into brewing in general, was, you could go up. One, the bartenders knew about the beer and could talk about it educatedly, with some sort of education to it. I mean, they might not know exactly what hops were in every beer that you made, but at least they could tell you the difference between a slow pour Pilsner and a regular Pilsner, or and they knew what that meant. If you wanted to order a slow pour, they pour you a slow pour, not just a regular one, because,
right.
Even though it's offered on the menu or whatever, I'm calling out one in particular place, but I'm not gonna get into that. But knew the difference between a lager and an ale, all that kind of stuff, right? So you kind of had that, but they didn't treat you like an asshole for asking the question, like, what's the difference between this, I feel like some places you go, you get your eyes rolled at if you ask about a beer, or they roll their eyes at you, I should say. And I kind of feel like that's part of what it is. There's a brewery I've been to pretty frequently that the bartender sits with his back turned to me and watches TV while I sit there and eat my lunch or drink a beer.
There's a lot of places I could name that I've had that experience.
Yeah. That's weird to me because, if you were my bartender, I'm not paying you to watch TV. I'm paying you to interact with the customers,
Well, and like I get it too that there are some places, and there's probably a lot more of this, and the cause I think is interesting to kind of try to identify. But that people come in and they don't sit at the bar anymore; they're just going to go sit at a table and have their lunch and their beer kind of by themselves. And I don't think that's a change in the customer. I think that's a change in what people are like, how people are designing these spaces and how they're staffing them and how they're creating the space itself.
Well, it kind of feels more transactional, right? Like you're just in there. I'm going to grab lunch. I'm going to have a beer. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm packing up. I'm leaving. Where, we've always tried to promote that old school kind of way of hang out with us. We like you being here.
Right.
Have some beer with us. Have some food. And it's worked well for us, but that doesn't work for everybody. And I'm not saying it's going to, right? I mean, again, it comes back to having good staff that can do that. I feel like even at our worst, like that'd probably be coming out of COVID, when our staff was just, we had a couple good people, but we had a lot of not.
Right.
Even at that point, though, people felt like they wanted to hang out and talk to our staff,
How do you create, especially now that you guys have been open, you've I assume learned a lot from your space that you have and from the staff that you have and from the environment that you have and the personality. As you're coming into a new space, like how do you find that balance between something that is very taproom, kind of old school taproom focused to something that has the whole hospitality side? Like you want people to come here and get food.
Yeah.
Like you want to attract those people that aren't looking to sit and talk about beer.
Right.
How do you find that place between the two and something that like?
Well, I mean that finds itself. Usually when you talk about bar sitting, the people that want to sit and bullshit about beer all day are going to sit at the bar. The people that maybe just want to come in and grab lunch and grab a beer, they'll sit at tables, right? I mean that's kind of the way it works now. The other thing is making sure our staff knows what our culture is down in Alexandria right now. So a lot of our staff is either going to train in Alexandria or come from Alexandria, right? The guy that's going to be he's going to be a front of house supervisor here. His name's Dave. He is one of like the staples of of Alexandria. So bringing him up here and he understanding and knowing our culture is going to be a great person to carry that forward. Dale, our front of house supervisor down there, will be up here quite a bit at the beginning just to make sure the staff is fitting in and gelling the way we want them to gel.
Right.
I mean, our staff is a tight-knit group. We all hang out together. It's, they've got a fantasy football league going that they get very competitive about. We're on a bowling league together. A lot of us are part of that. We're all doing like a Friendsgiving. We're a tight-knit group, and it starts from the ownership down, I think.
How do you maintain that when that tight-knit group is now, like, is there an effort to try to kind of cross over some of those shifts and be like, hey, like, even though you work at Westchester, like, maybe a couple times a month, you should probably come down and just have a shift down here or vice versa.
Well, we are going to have what we call flex employees, which are people that work at both places. We hired our first one earlier this year, with the understanding that this place was going to be open over the summer. But she lives in Milford, so it's kind of equal distance for her. It doesn't matter, but she loves working for us so much that she's willing to drive either way. There is another employee, we've got Michael Schuler and Katie Bird, who have been, Katie Holton, I guess is her last name, but I always call her Katie Bird because that was her maiden name. But they're our oldest employees, right? They've been with us the longest. And Katie wants to pick up shifts up here over the summer. She's a teacher, so winter, fall doesn't work for her. But she'll be up here over the summer because that's what she wants to do. And we're hoping it's going to be kind of vice
Northern
versa.
Kentucky's like favorite bartender or something.
She got voted. Yeah, she
so
is.
Now she can take over Ohio too.
She got voted. Hold on, what was it? Best bartender. She got voted best bartender in Northern Kentucky. So. That was on Lincoln KY or something like that.
Anybody who's been to the tap room, I think, knows that you guys have great employees.
We try.
I think that would make me extremely nervous opening a second location. Like that would be the thing. Like the beer is fine. Like the beer is going to be the same, and like that's also one of the things that makes Alexandria great. But like, finding a whole additional staff of people that can create that same culture, because you say it just happens naturally. It does not just happen. None of that stuff happens naturally. Like it all falls down to a couple different things, and that's the service side, the personality, the product. Like all of those things kind of come together and make this thing work. And hopefully you put those right pieces into place.
Well, a big thing that we do is we try to get people that aren't bartenders or haven't been in the industry, because there's a lot of jaded bartenders
that are still having fun.
Yeah,
trying to find people that still.
There's a lot of jaded servers in the world,
and and there is a huge difference between a bartender that is working at a high volume cocktail bar, somebody that works at some kind of dive bar, versus somebody that works at a brewery. Like you can still get spirits and things like that, but it's a tap room, it's a brewery, it's a whole different personality. And
it is.
I know a lot more jaded bartenders that don't work at breweries than I do that work at breweries.
Right there. I think it's like I think a lot of our applicants that we get though are people that came from, I don't know, the higher volume side. And they're looking to go to a brewery, but then, would kind of, I guess part of it is there's a little bit of jadedness going on, but that's not as big of a deal. Sorry, I saw you look over. I was
in my head. I'm remembering that I don't think I formatted the card in there, so now I'm worried that there's not enough space on that memory card. So
we'll be okay.
Can you see if it's still recording? Can you see the little red thing in the corner?
Yes.
Okay, we're good. Yeah. These are the things that are happening in my head as I'm trying to.
But I think we every time we've hired one of those people that have come from that, with maybe one or two exceptions, it's been, you're not making your cocktails right. You're not doing this right. You're not doing that right. And it's like, we don't care. This is what we do, Like our old fashioned is slightly different. It's a little bit sweeter than a regular old fashioned, and that's because that's what our customers want, right?
With that though, if you've got a customer that comes in and has an old fashioned, like, it's a little sweeter than I like, your bartenders are good enough. They're like, okay, I can fix that for you. Next one, I can make it different for you.
Yeah, they'll make a traditional old fashioned if that's what they want, but most people like what we make, so why would we change it? It's signature to us, right? If they. And we say it's our signature old fashioned. So if you say, okay, well, I just want a regular old fashioned, they'll make you a regular old fashioned. They know how to do it.
Right.
But that's not the point. I mean, the point is that it's goes to fit this whole like culture that we have. And if they don't fit in, we kind of, hate to say it, but we weed them out pretty quick. Right. And that's kind of been, I guess, the good thing about it is that, if they don't fit, they know they don't fit too. They're uncomfortable.
Right.
And it's because we all are such a tight knit group that if you don't fit in, I don't want to say that they're snubbing you, but they're not, they get a little bit cold. My staff does, because you're not, I don't want to say conforming, but
no, but I mean, I assume it works with the customer side too. Like there's this culture there, this thing that exists. And if something doesn't fit into that, people are going to naturally weed it out.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's part of my, again, kind of going back to that idea of opening a second location, like especially at the beginning, like it's really easy to kind of either lose control over the culture that you want it to have, and it goes a completely different direction, and now you're trying to get it back, and you can't, because now you've got these people that have started coming here like, oh, this is our space, this is what we want it to feel like, and like that. Man, that stresses me out into thinking about it.
It's stressing me out too. Don't get me wrong. And it's back to that point though. I mean, we know when a bartender's not working because our numbers show it. People don't stay. Right. They don't hang out like they normally do. And that's something that with this, that's part of the reason Dave's getting promoted to handle this side. It's also the reason we want to train or have people take shifts down in Alexandria every now and then. And we'll move as many bartenders as we can up here to work shifts until we get it in place. But that's kind of the idea is, at least at opening, I know Dale will be up here too. Dave will be up here. We'll have our flex employee, Olivia, up here. And I'm sure Ann and myself will be up here working as well, just because, usually when you open a place, it's pretty busy. hopefully that happens here. But
well, I mean, that brings up a good question. Like, how do you think people will react to this? Like, do you anticipate, and this is obviously just what's in your head, there's no way to know any of this, that you'll get people that came here for what the old place was and want to kind of come back and are expecting that? Or do you think it's going to be people that are up here that are already Alexandria fans? Do you think it's going to be just, oh, there's a new brewery, I'm going to come
That's a good question. I mean, I do know that there's a lot of the older places fans that come up here. They talk to me on a daily basis. I mean, I'm surprised we haven't seen one yet while we've been sitting here. Sometimes they'll just open the door and come in, that are really hyped about this. A lot of them have been driving down to Alexandria to see is this going to be worth checking out, and they're all happy about it, right? I mean, we get lots of comments, we get lots of direct messages on social media. I even get emails, which is weird that somebody's taking the time to type out an email asking when our opening date is, what's going on, because they're so excited. They came down to the tap room whatever weekend and loved everything that we had.
Right.
And they're really hoping that, I mean, not to say anything bad, but I from what I put together is the food was never consistent here.
Well, yeah, like I mean, there's things that I'll say. So I love the food program that was here before. Chef Steven made incredible food. The problem was the hours weren't. You didn't know if it was going to be open when you came, and that's not necessarily a dig on him. If there's not foot traffic here, and it makes more sense for him to be out in a food truck, kind of doing his thing somewhere else, I get that.
Yeah.
But as a customer, if I would come in and I'm like, all right, I don't know if there's going to be food.
Yeah.
I don't want a DoorDash. I'm just going to go grab a beer somewhere else. And that became easy to do. So like, I think that.
Well, I think the big thing that we're trying to do here too is build a good lunch crowd, right? Because I feel this area that we're in, there's enough people working around here that would pack this place for lunch. The other place around the corner, the Gano.
Is it? It's closed.
Out of business. Yeah, somebody's remodeling it and they're rehabbing it, and it's kind of a race to open before they do.
Right.
But if we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. But with that being closed, we'd be the lunch place inside this complex. Everything else you've got to go drive to get, and depending on traffic, you might not make it back in that 20, 30 minute window you need to make it back into.
Right.
So, we know that's going to hurt beer sales at first. We know that's going to hurt our staff that's working the lunch. But at the same time, having our happy hour specials and things like that will drive these people to come back, at least hopefully drive them to come back, because the food will be so good that they'll come back and get a beer and try the beer after work.
Right.
I mean, that's where I really feel like there was a big shortcoming with the food at the old places. It never was consistent enough to know if you can build a lunch crowd out there. At least that's from what I've been able to put together, and from what everybody around here has told me. There are people that absolutely love the old place, and they're excited that we're coming in because we intend to pay a little bit of tribute to it by keeping the Mug Club going at least for a year, probably more, but that's something the board and I are trying to figure out.
You guys, and you put out something online that, like I said, definitely for a year, but then even if that goes away, you'll probably launch some kind of Mug Club that is your own thing.
Yeah. I mean, we can't do that in Kentucky right now. And at the end of the day, we don't want to become a place that stores glassware either for people.
Sure.
I mean, I get it, or mugs or whatever. I get it. I don't want to sound harsh about this, but it's if a bartender breaks it or something like that, they're going to be heartbroken, especially if it's your dog. I can't say, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, especially if it's the mug you had it from the previous place. You don't want.
There's some places though that like Grainworks over here, also in Westchester, like they have a mug club, and you get, like, when you sign up for the mug club, you get some kind of glass that's the yearly glass, and then when you come in, like, you don't bring your glass, or they don't store your glass for you. There's a special glass that you get if you're a mug club member. So you're not like
that's not a bad idea.
You're not sitting on like it's like you kind of can figure out how many Mug Club members are going to be in the space at one time, and there's just a special glass that they're drinking out of.
Yeah,
but you're not storing their treasured glass. But like the old place, I always stored my glass here. But like I knew lots of people that just would leave it at home, and like they, when they came in, they would just use somebody else's mug.
But I think that somebody else would be mad about.
Well,
that
I think
too,
they had some that were just kind of up for grabs for people to drink out of if they forgot theirs or whatever. But there's a lot of ways that it could be done, and not like you don't have to have a whole wall of mugs being stored. Although some places do it really well. Shout out to Westside. Like if you go sit at the bar at Westside, like the whole top is filled with everybody's mugs,
awesome.
And it does kind of make people want to sign up for the mug club. It's like, oh man, I want to be part of that. Like I want mine up there.
I guess the issue is just trying to figure out how to do that right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're going to have breakage with that, and you're going to hurt somebody's feelings with it. I mean, we kind of did it at Alexandria during our Kickstarter.
You can also use it as a motivator too. Though if somebody's being a pain in the ass, like, dude, I'm going to smash your mug. Like you got to straighten up, cut your shit, or it's getting smashed.
I think our goal
that's my
would
kids. I'm going to break your toys.
Yeah, break your toys. I think our plan would be not to storm though. I mean, honestly, especially because we've got to put a drop ceiling in here. There's not a good enough area where, the where he stored them previously, where they were stored previously on that wall that had the airplane cable on it, or hanger cable, or whatever you want to call it. We're going to be putting that in because it's the weight tore that wall apart. So we're gonna enclose it and put a bar top on it. So I don't know. It comes down to where do you store it that's responsible and easy access at the same time, and that becomes difficult.
I think that like it's another sign of one of those things that like the concept of what it is going to carry on to what you guys are doing here, but you're putting your own spin on it, you're reimagining it, you're trying to fix the reasons that didn't work, or even if it was working, like how can we make this better, how can we improve this, how can we make this something that can last. I
think it worked for the old guy. I think it's kind of more of, I kind of like what you said Grainworks does. That might be the way we direct it. I just like the idea of you bringing it in.
BC's does the same thing too.
You bring it in when you come in.
BC's has mugs that they store. I'm sorry, I'm thinking there's a couple places that do it different ways.
I just like the idea of bringing it in when you come in, because then you're coming in with intention too. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like you're coming in, you got your mug.
It's like when we used to have to travel with extra growlers stashed in our trunk.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And if a throwback thing, I don't know. I mean, that's something weird too. That's something I was talking about the other day, is how growlers have almost all but gone away.
There's every once in a while, like there'll be things, like there'll be an event or there'll be something going on that like will make me do something the way I used to do it, and I get really nostalgic when that happens. And like recently, Bocce down in Wyoming, they tapped the old Rivertown pumpkin beer.
Yeah.
And like brewed with Jason from Rivertown, and like I was getting ready for the event, and I was kind of packing some stuff up. I'm like, man, going to this event feels weird. Like I feel like I'm going to drink Rivertown beer, and like that makes me feel very nostalgic. And I'm like, they don't have a growler machine there. Like I don't know if they're gonna fill growlers, but I should probably throw a growler in my trunk because I might want to bring some home. They did not fill growlers that night for the record, but they might be now. I don't know, go stop in if it's still on tap. But like just like going and getting a growler and rinsing it and getting some sanitizer, and like I'm like, oh my god, like this is what we used to do. And like there's something about that I connect with too, like this idea of like some of the things that for good or bad we've lost with craft beer as it's changed.
Yeah, that's one thing that's bizarre to me, because we were going, I mean, up until COVID ended, I want to say we were going through growlers. I mean, and they ran out of amber glass, so we ordered a bunch of clear ones. We ordered a full pallet, which is really 2 pallets of it.
I got growlers that were in like plastic jugs. I got
Yeah.
growlers that were in like pouches. Yeah, I ordered beer out of all kinds of weird things right around COVID.
Yeah, but I mean, because there were shortages on everything, so we went to clear ones, which is not good for beer. I mean,
Right.
if we're being honest,
It
here.
looks pretty though.
It does, it really does. But we went to those because that's what the old company that we used had, right? They were completely out of amber. Nobody knew when they were coming back. We already went through the 2 pallets of amber that we got, and they were blank because we didn't have time to even get them printed. So we got these ones printed. We were all excited about them. We went through a pallet, and then, well, when you order a pallet, it's really 2 pallets. They call it a half pallet because it doesn't stand as tall, but it's a pallet. I mean, it's taller than I am, but that's a half pallet. So we went through one half of it, and then we've just kind of sat since then
Right.
on this other half. And, they are clear, so that's probably part of it. But, at the end of the day, crowlers kind of took over for a while, and we were selling those a lot. And then that's kind of slowed down.
I mean, it also, like, the more beer you're putting into actual packaging, like, people have kind of figured out that, like, like, if the beer that I'm drinking is Ale of Eris, like, I'm not going to get a crowler over it. I'm not going to get a growler. I'm just going to get a 6-pack and grab it to go.
6-pack almost is the same cost.
Like and you don't have to drink it all at the same time. You can, drink one today and one in 2 days and 3 on the weekend, and like it just makes more sense. And so many beers now are put into packaging at every place that it's easier.
Now, we've got our 4 key ones and we've got some seasonal ones, but we do still sell crowlers, but it's not like what it was, you know, and that's not even saying, it wasn't even of our core brands. Like even when before we started canning it or whatever, this wasn't our biggest seller in crowlers. It's the bigger beers that were the bigger seller in crowlers, like Cecilia's Grace, which is our quad, or JWR, which is our triple. Those things would go into a crowler to go.
Do you think that's because of the consumer that's getting it? Like, do you think that there are now so many consumers that just don't even, number one, aren't drinking those beers as much, or don't know that crowlers exist, or...
I can't put my finger on it, because at the end of the day, it's people that have it in the tap room and say, I wish you canned it, and our bartenders will say, well, you can get it in a big can. No, I don't want to drink at home. That it's kind of... I don't know what it's kind of come down to, but it's I really don't. I don't. I can't put my finger on it. It's almost like they'd rather just have the experience in the brewery and not try to relive it at home.
I get that. I mean, the majority of beer that I drink is out at a brewery or at one of the great beer bars around. That's probably the majority that I drink.
That's
I'd have to actually do the math, but it's definitely different than what it used to be.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's something that just like I've changed as a consumer, or I mean I have, but like I don't know if it's because of me that is the way it is, or if it's because other things have changed that I've kind of changed with them.
I point my finger a lot at COVID. I mean, it just really changed the way we did everything.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of came out of that, and everybody's like, I kind of became an alcoholic over COVID. I'm not comfortable drinking a whole crowler at home anymore.
Right.
I'd rather just go out. At least this way I'm having a couple beers and I can go home instead of I'm sitting at my house, not seeing any of my friends. I think maybe that brings that back. I don't know.
Yeah. The beer industry is definitely different after COVID.
Yeah.
Everything is different after COVID, but
yeah.
Do you think it's better or worse?
I mean, for us, it's been better. I'm going to knock on some wood here. In terms of, financially, we've grown. As a brewery, we've grown. We're one of the few that came out of it smelling okay.
I mean, depending on who you're asking and if you trust what they're saying, it seems to be the majority of breweries, especially here in this area, came out better. The majority. There's some that didn't. But.
I know some that were really down during COVID. I mean, we were only down in 2020. We were only down 4%. 2021, we were up over 2019.
Right.
That's stupid. That shouldn't have happened, right? But it did, and we've been up ever since.
Right.
This is the first year that we're kind of even. We might be down like 1%, but everybody's struggling this year. But we're still in a place where we can add on another brewery, you know,
Right.
and that's weird. It's weird in general. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people that I think, especially the way the economy's going and everything like that, you know, I'm nervous as can be about opening this place up.
Right.
And I feel like I'd be a fool if I wasn't, you know? So, yeah, I think, I don't know if it's COVID. I don't know if it's the economy. I don't know what it is, but I know we're kind of hitting this point where the bubble popped over COVID. We're slowly shrinking. I'm hoping it doesn't.
Well, I mean, slowly shrink. So there was, 2 years where technically the number of breweries in this country went down very, very slightly.
I think this year is going to be a different story.
You think
when the
so?
data comes out, yeah. I do.
I'll be curious to see. I mean, I definitely think that what breweries look like is changing. Like it's like everything. The top end is growing and the bottom end is growing in numbers.
Yeah.
And that middle ground is shifting one way or the other. But
it is.
But I don't know that means that the number of breweries is going to change. Now, how much beer is coming out of those breweries, I think that's the more interesting number to kind of keep watching, because it kind of just stays where it's at.
Well, when I look at it, you know, we were for a while and still kind of keep an eye on auctions because,
Sure.
you know, we expanded. It's easier to do it with used equipment than it is with new. And the amount of stuff that's available on auction right now, the amount of stuff that's available used is insane. And that's a sign.
That doesn't always mean it's a place closing, though. It could be a place.
You're right. It's a place that could be just downsizing.
Right. Or a place acquiring another location and then getting rid of that equipment and
who would do that?
I mean, like that, but that, like we see that happening, not just, you know, here, but like, you know, like that's not.
Well, but just to give you an
abnormal.
example, we took the tanks from here and they're going to Alexandria. Right. We're kind of fortunate enough that they're able to be stored indefinitely, because we were going to set them outside for a little bit before we were ready to install them. But, you know, the brew house went to another brewery too, though, that needed another brew house. Their brew house has hit its point.
Right.
And that's Ethereal. Ethereal wound up in Lexington with the old brewery here. But
we see some breweries, even like other breweries here locally, that are growing in different ways, or even in the same way that you guys are. That, like, you know, like Third Eye, when they moved over into Hamilton, like I don't think they've gotten rid of any of the tanks that were in
I don't think they
in
have
Sharonville, but at some point they will, like as they keep kind of growing and changing.
I don't know. I don't know, because that might be Kelly's pilot system now.
I don't think Kelly has any time to go to a pilot system.
I don't know, man.
I think that might be the idea right now, but like I don't know that is
well. But it could be you hire an R&D brewer too, though. I mean, if you look at like what Braxton did,
sure.
I mean, Ryan started out there, right? Is their pilot brewer on that system behind what was 8 Ball's old brew house.
Right.
Now I know that they've that got moved to. Was that 3 Points? Is that where they were? And that's gone now.
I don't think they moved the.
They didn't move the system. No.
Right.
No, we got 2 of those old tanks, but 3 Points had a brewery there.
Yeah.
And that became their pilot system. And then they made the decision because Pendleton, man, it had a lot of potential. But the problem is if you don't have the infrastructure going on with it, and what I mean by that is police patrolling
and peak parking for people.
Well, they had a big parking garage behind it. But the problem is that when you park there, it got robbed, or you ran the risk of it. I had, luckily, nothing ever happened to me, but I had a friend of mine. We met there, and his car got broken into while we were drinking at 3 Points, and that was before it was Braxton. It was just always, you know, you're adding something on to an already strained police system, and you're trying to make this go along with Over the Rhine, which Over the Rhine was and it still got some crime, but it was a high crime area back in the day. To get rid of that, you've got to increase police coverage, right? So, and
what I thought was strange about Pendleton was that, like, as close as it is to OTR, nobody ever walks from OTR over to Pendleton to go check out one of those places, and vice versa. People that are hanging out in Pendleton don't like go grab dinner or something. Like, all right, now let's walk over to OTR. It became like these two separate bubbles that never crossed.
Well, and I think that goes to whether it's real or whether it's not, feeling safe, right?
Sure.
I have, and I'm going to knock on some wood here when I say this, but I've never had a problem. Even back in the day when the warehouse, I don't know if you remember the warehouse, was down and over the Rhine, I never had a problem. There might have been somebody asking me for change or whatever, but I've never had a problem with crime. I've never had
a problem with crime. There has been times where I was a little concerned, but I've never had an actual problem.
But there is a perception to that area that has not gone away with the modernization of the area, right? And with Pendleton, they did not, the powers that be did not, and by that I just mean like the city of Cincinnati, did not increase the patrols like they did in Over the Rhine to make people feel safer. There were stories coming out about your cars getting broken into all the time or somebody getting mugged down there, where that wasn't happening in Over the Rhine. So it makes you feel, okay, you've got these 4 locations, these 4 restaurants or whatever that I can kind of walk through and be safe. But outside of that, am I going to be safe?
Right.
Am I going to be safe to walk to Over the Rhine, even though they're right next door to each other?
Right.
I don't know. And I don't know. I mean, I could just tell you from my time hanging out down there or going to, my wife really liked Boomtown Biscuits, so going down to that.
God, I loved Boomtown.
Yeah.
I think they still have a location down in Kentucky somewhere.
Yeah, I think in Florence. I've never been to the one in Florence, though, because
I bet it's in a strip mall.
You're probably right. Hey, don't make fun of that.
Which is fine, but it's so different than what we expected from. We got so used to what Boomtown was, and whatever.
But I mean, we'd go down there, and then we'd walk to 3 Points after and have a beer or whatever. But it was always, we never had the desire to walk to Over the Rhine,
right?
And that was because it's dark.
Yeah,
it wasn't well lit. There wasn't like I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, like
I felt like there's a lot of potential there, and that it's the struggles of any kind of city, though. I mean, where do you put your funding, especially when funding's being cut?
Right. Well, and Pendleton relied on just a couple different, like you said, there was just a little couple different restaurants and bars right there, and that was it. And so, like, once one closed or one left and then another one, now you got a major problem because nobody's going to come there for 2 places,
right?
So I get it.
And I felt like if they continued the growth, if it would have been working out for everybody, and those businesses didn't close, it'd probably be part of Over the Rhine now. But
the only one I'm happy to see close is Brewdog. Good riddance. Get out of Cincy. That's the one I'm happy about.
Brewdog.
What a terrible company.
That one, and what was the other one that kind of went? Or it might even still be open. What's Anheuser? What was the Cleveland brewery?
Platform.
Platform.
No, they're gone.
Okay.
They opened that little
it was more of a coffee shop.
Well, it was supposed to be like a coffee shop during the day and like a tap room at night, which a lot of places have tried to figure that out and make it work. The only place that really kind of has is High Grain.
Braxton did a pretty good job.
They did a good job, but it didn't last. They ended up stopping the coffee service.
Well, I think that was the COVID. I think that was more of a COVID result than it was.
But all of them that have managed to figure out a way to make it work. If we're going to consider Braxton a success too, they fall into this.
Yeah.
It still feels like it's still a tap room. Lacoba never felt like that. It felt like a cocktail bar that is a coffee shop and a tap room. Like it never fixed what it actually was.
Hey, Uncle Jim. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Uncle Jim, this guy's coming in he's gonna get the thing behind the wall. Oh, he is? Yeah, I think that's who he's with.
And we're at an hour too, so we'll wrap up here in a minute.
All right.
But Platform had other problems, and that was the fact that they sold to Anheuser-Busch.
Well,
you're a tap room in Cincinnati. That is, you only can cater to people that don't know.
Right. Well, and I don't know. We had. It's kind of funny. The girl that this beer is named after, her fiance, boyfriend, I don't know what it was, worked there, and he always came in because he was a business major, but he was in college at the time. He kept trying to tell me ways that I can be more like them. I'm like, I don't want anything to do with them, man.
As a beer drinker,
you're missing the understanding. You're missing the point.
If I was walking down the street and I saw that place, I would have never known that it was either a coffee shop or a tap room.
Yeah,
like it just looks like any other kind of cocktail bar in OTR, and I think that was a big problem for them too. Like you just like make a tap room. Like I've always said, like, look, if Anheuser-Busch came into Cincinnati and opened up a tap room and called it the Budweiser tap room, and they served, Budweiser products.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple special weird, but like, oh, here's unfiltered Budweiser, something like that.
Yeah.
I'd freaking go there. Like I would go there and I would try it and I would probably enjoy myself. But that's because I would know what it is. I know what I'm walking into.
I think I'd prefer Miller opening it up than Budweiser, but that's just me.
Well, I would agree too. But like there is.
But I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean,
don't try to trick beer drinkers. Like let people know who you are. Stay true to who you are and give them that. And
well, you say this, but then you look at Goose Island. All right.
Sure.
I still know people that have no idea that's an Anheuser-Busch beer.
But
they've AB InBev.
But they have stayed true to who they are.
No.
Well, I guess it depends who you ask. You know what? I had a Honkers Ale maybe 6 months ago, and it was great. I was happy to see it back.
Their IPA
really good.
won, like, when it was Goose Island, it won GABF like 3 or 4 times. It hasn't won since.
Well, GABF was different back then.
Well, World Beer Cup. Let's go there then, because anybody can enter that. Any professional brewer can enter that, and it doesn't win anymore.
Are we sure they enter it?
Yeah, I know that they were for a minute. That my understanding is a big part of it was when they sold initially 60% to Anheuser-Busch and 40% stayed with the original owner.
And they kept like one of the locations too was all of them.
It was the original tap room was the original tap room in the barrel age program stayed with the owner. The problem is that the barrel age program relied on the main production facility to make beer for it. And Anheuser-Busch just said, we're not making beer for you anymore. And that cut it out. They also promised that several beers would not lose their place in the market, one being was it Night Stalker? Was that what it was called? It was like a really good stout that they used to make.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember now. It's been so long since I would like.
My buddy would know it because we both loved it, but he was obsessed with it. And that one went away. A couple other ones went away. One thing that they did. Now I went to Siebel in Chicago, which is Goose Island is there, right?
Yeah.
And
312.
Yeah. Well, part of it they copyrighted all area codes in the country because they had a plan of marketing like 513 would be the same thing as 312. It was just for us. That was AB InBev's big marketing scheme. So I know that there's a bunch of them that are labeled 513 or something like that. And if you're doing that, you better be careful not to advertise that too heavy because AB InBev, my understanding, still owns that.
If they still have it, it'd be fun to look up and see what they have.
But I do know that they copyrighted all that. They had a plan of moving the biggest beers that they produced, 312, the IPA, and Honkers. They were going to move all that to Rochester
in
is
New
where,
York, yeah.
And they had the toughest time getting AB InBev equipment that's designed to make light lagers to brew that consistently, but they just didn't care. They still put it out.
Well, yeah, and we've seen that similar kind of process happen when they bought Wicked Weed. I'm pretty sure Pernicious is probably made out of New York now.
Well, but Wicked Weed, though, they only own 40% of that. It's 60% still owned by the main corp.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure on that. I had 2 buddies from Siebel that went there and worked in the sour program. My understanding, now it could have changed, but initially that's what happened is they only bought 40% because they didn't want people to know that they were that involved in it. They wanted it to feel the same. Now, I probably agree that they would have taken some of the better sellers and trying to produce them differently than how they're being produced because they can make it at a bigger scale.
It's crazy though. Like if if that, I mean, they don't care. It's a drop in the bucket of what money they're making. But like, if they had just gone around and bought regional places, big things that are happening in different regions, and really just left them alone to kind of do their own thing, gave them some more resources and stuff, it probably would have worked well.
Well, that's honestly what they did for Goose Island. But so one thing that changed is that we spent a day at Goose Island, and their barrel program is part of my study, right?
Right.
And they put bars all over the place to offer public tours to make it feel more like, hey, we're opening it up to the public for people to check out. But what they did is they took, and I don't know if you've heard of Green Line at all, because it doesn't get out of Chicago, but it's like their light pale ale. They put that, because it's the cheapest beer to make, all over, but they didn't give you samples of anything else.
Right.
Our teachers, our adjunct professors, whatever you want to call them, they told us that that's one of the best days, because we get to try all this stuff out of the barrel, when we get to the barrel program.
Right.
No, it was Green Line the whole time. And that was one of the things that like the people who run Siebel walked away disappointed with.
Right.
And they just kind of said, we want you to know that that's not how it normally is. And the whole time they just kept saying, this is what AB InBev money does. But they offered you more of it. It was more of, they have a bar on top the brewing house, like, and they have a bar up there that is only for the brewers. It's
very similar to my experience at New Belgium after Kieran kind of picked them up, or was it Kieran the bottom first?
I don't know.
And then it moved. Yeah,
I can't remember.
Like, I went there kind of a little bit after that happened, and that was kind of the experience. Like, it was like, this is really neat. But I don't think this is the way it was before.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was a little different.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, they didn't offer you any of the brewer beer. And they said normally that's what they have you do, is you get to sit down and you drink a couple beers with their head brewer. They had two master brewers working for them, and one of them left and started up Revolution. That's what the Revolution story is. It's a revolution against AB InBev.
Right.
Anyways, but like Goose Island, for the most part, still operates like it used to. And I think that's, when you look at what AB InBev did in their most popular brands, it's like Goose Island and Wicked Weed. Everything else is pretty much sold.
Yeah.
It's gone out of their portfolio now. I mean, Breckenridge is back to being independent.
Shock Top is technically independent now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so weird when you look at it, because people didn't want that. They didn't want craft beer to be macro.
Right.
And it took away from what the experience was. It took away from everything. And the two exceptions are Wicked Weed and Goose Island. Those are the only two that they're still very profitable with. And I think it is because, like what you said, they still get some autonomy to it. They still get to operate like they used to, minus their biggest products.
Right. Which, as a craft beer drinker, I don't even care anymore. Like, it was like when they started buying up breweries that sucked. And if they came in and they bought like a brewery here in town that I loved, like, it would probably piss me off. And, that was definitely a possibility at one point.
Well, I know for a fact they met with two.
I know for a fact there were several more than two.
Yeah.
and there were some that did not meet too, which I think is even more fascinating.
Well, I'll tell you, and this is just about that. One of the best pieces of business advice I got was from Jake Rouse from Braxton, and that was, you always take a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not saying we took a meeting with them, but he's like, doesn't matter if they come at you. You always take a meeting, because you don't know what's going to happen to you tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I could fall down and get paralyzed, and I'm the one who brews everything, so what am I going to do? If I was nice to them and cordial to them and took the meeting, even though I turned them away, now I got an option to get out if I need to get out.
Yeah.
And that is, it really changed the way I looked at them in general. I used to be, and I still feel like, with the brewery toppling Goliath, right? I mean, it's David versus Goliath in this industry. But AB InBev's bleeding.
Toppling Goliath that is now owned by...
Are they?
Who owns them?
They got bought.
They got bought by somebody. Toppling Goliath.
Oh, man, and I don't stay on top of this like I used to.
And what's the place out of Tampa?
Which one? Cigar City?
Cigar City. Whoever owns... It's the same company.
Well, that was Canarchy.
Yeah.
But that was
Monster.
a collaboration.
So it's Monster now.
Okay.
That is literally
Monster energy drink or Monster?
That is the name of it's the same company. It's it's now Monster Brewing, something like that is the name of the company.
Well, so Canarchy was like a collaboration between Ska,
Oscar Blues,
and Cigar City, and that was because they were the original guys putting everything in cans.
Now it's owned by Monster Energy.
So, is it Monster Energy drinks own it?
Yes, which is a spinoff of like Coca-Cola or something. So,
Dude, that is fucking nuts.
Yeah, toppling Goliath. I'm 90. Correct me if I'm wrong. If Toppling Goliath is owned by that same.
I really hope that's not the case.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Toppling Goliath made some good IPAs,
and I think they still do.
I don't know. I can't say. The only time I ever really get it, because I know it kind of came into this market.
It's here, yeah. I don't know if it's down in Kentucky, but it's here.
It's not in Kentucky. I know that, but I used to get it. My brother lives in southern Wisconsin. He used to live in northern Illinois, and I'd go up there, and they'd have it. They'd have it at Mars Cheese Castle.
The problem I had when they first came into Ohio was that everything that I kept seeing was old.
Yeah,
and
that's what you're going to get.
I think it's different now.
Is it?
Like you can get better stuff now, but maybe I'll drink some Toppling Goliath this week and see.
Like Pseudo Sue, I can remember having that for the first time, and I know that that's something that's real common now, but back then it was pretty rare. I don't know. Next thing you're gonna say Pipeworks sold too.
I don't think so. Not that I know of, but
they hit the area for a minute.
Well, and like it's hard, like as a fan of a place, like when you have this place that you fall in love with, and then they sell and they become something else. Like that's hard. It is a fairly natural progression in the craft beer world. There's not a lot of ways out of this industry.
Yeah, you either have to have a kid that you can will it all, or willings to buy you out,
or a head brewer that's been there forever. That's like, I want to carry this on.
Yeah, retiring with it is tough though, because it's assets at the end of the day, right? So you've got to sell them out, and it's either A, do I close and I sell everything? B, do I try to sell the brand and carry it on, or C, do I sell to the big guys and just wipe my hands clean of it and walk away happy, But to me, I don't know if I could walk away happy doing that.
Right.
Because, there's a legacy you build, whether you want to or not. And at the end of the day, I like to think this is my mark on the world, So even though it's this tiny little nook of a smaller that used to be a big city.
Well, like I've been talking about that a lot. So I'm working on a big documentary right now with the Brewing Heritage Trail about the Bruckman Brewing Complex.
Yeah.
And there are still plenty of Bruckmans that live in this area. And Bruckman was this thing, and it existed, and then it went away. But it's still, like, there are still pieces of it that you see. And, like, that is still, for a lot of those people, that's still part of their legacy and the mark that their family had left on the world. And, like, it's really, really interesting to me to see these places, this place that doesn't exist anymore, and how it still kind of filters down to these other generations of, like, that was my family, that was our thing.
Yeah.
And, like,
that's interesting.
If that had continued some way, but been a different ownership group, like how would that feel as a Bruckman? Like that, like, yeah, we have nothing to do with it, but that's our brewery, like, I don't know, like it would be weird.
Well, I mean, there are still some Wiedemans out there that, and they talk about the current Wiedemann, and some of it's good, some of it's bad, but they, I have one that comes into my tap room and he's related somehow to George Wiedemann, but it was his last name's not even Wiedemann anymore.
Right.
So, but he lets me know every time.
Yeah. I mean, like it would, I don't have that issue that like I have some kind of family business that I know was in like my lineage that like still exists around. Like I don't have to worry about that. But like if I was like a kid, like, yeah, my dad started this brewery and then he sold it to Anheuser-Busch and there it is. That would feel weird.
Yeah. I mean, my hope is my son wants to be a soccer star, but if that doesn't work out, maybe he'll take it over.
He can do both. He can play soccer and...
I'd love my daughter and son to both take it over, but I don't think I think she's going to be an attorney and get the hell out of here.
Well, every brewery needs a good attorney.
Yeah. She's I don't know. It's kind of a weird... What? An adventure. She's an adventure. I love my little girl. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I think she's too smart for her own good right now at this age. So
yeah, there's I've never been a teenage girl, but I would never want to be. There's a lot going on in their brains. Is there anything else you want people to know about ABC or the Westchester Outpost that you think they don't know?
I don't know. What have we not talked about?
I mean, we didn't talk about when it's opening because I know
November at some point.
There's a big ish.
Yeah, there's a huge ish.
So I tend to not ask that question.
So just to lay it all out here real quick, the ceiling, and I don't know if anybody's caught it in the background here, but it's raining. It's raining paint. The wrong paint was used to paint it, and the summer, as hot as it got, we didn't keep this place cool. I mean, we kept it like at 70, but we didn't keep it, like where people are going to be in here cool. And it caused the ceiling to expand a little. And then when it contracted, it started raining paint because it's painted with latex paint. So right now we're getting a drop ceiling put in to kind of deal with that problem. The other thing is the health department doesn't know how to deal with us because we don't own the food company, but they're going to be located within side of us.
Right.
So to get our A1A, which is your liquor by the drink license in Kentucky, we have to have a food services license. So we're trying to get an exemption from that right now. The health department wants me to carry the restaurant's license, but I don't want to carry that because I don't know the first thing about health code. I know things are supposed to be clean. I know we don't want mold growing on stuff, but outside of that, I don't know what temperatures they have to keep their walk-ins at. I don't pay attention enough to that because I know what I have to control. So those are the things we're dealing with. If I get that exemption, we get the drop ceiling in. The ABC made it pretty clear to me that it's just he'll come back out, take a picture, and we'll be open. But I got to get that exemption. The licensing with the food is moving forward as it should right now, and they're almost ready to get that stamped.
Right. And so once that happens, then you move into your side, right?
Well, our side it is either we get the exemption or we get that. And we don't want to open without food. But if we have to do like a soft opening just to kind of get all our staff trained and quit hemorrhaging money out here so bad, we'll do that. It might just be, hey, we're open, but bring your own food or whatever until the kitchen's ready, but it's not going to be our grand opening until we're all ready. So might be restricted hours, might be, we're trying to figure that out, but
it's hard.
But it won't be a real opening.
It's hard, I think, for people that are on the outside looking in. The news definitely put out that you guys were going to be open. God knows when it was when that was written, but and so people are, well, what's happening? And was it? They just stopped working on it. Like, what's going on? It's like, no, there are lots of things going on behind the scenes that you're not seeing. It's coming together.
The reality is that when we met with the old owners, it looked one way, and once we took possession, which was May of this year, the deeper we dug, the worse it got. And there was a lot of things that just had to be cleaned up and replaced and removed. And the brewer's bond, which is our federal license, we had to get that passed because we're going to have a small pilot system here. We got that done by June, and we thought, okay, this is going to roll forward from here on out, and we'll be open by July. And it's just a lot of red tape we've got to go through, and a lot of it has to do with things were done affordably here, and I get that. I absolutely do, because Lord knows money was tight when we opened our place up. So I'm not mad at the old owner or anything like that. There's definitely some things that I probably would have done a little bit different, but honestly, the doors were open. They were doing what they needed to do. The bigger issue comes is he never had a food services license, right? So he was never inspected. So the things that were bad for food never came up. And now we've got to correct these issues, right? So, and I don't know if it's something anybody would have realized. Honestly.
Well, no, especially in this industry, there's a lot of things that you don't know until somebody figures it out.
Right.
And for most people, they hope somebody else figures it out before they do, and then can tell them, hey, just so you know, this is going to be an issue.
Well, what's weird is we have a food services license in Alexandria, and Kentucky makes you have one just for glassware. So if you're rewashing your glassware, that has to be at certain temperatures. It has to have a certain pH in both of the sinks. And Kentucky makes you have a food services license. So we've been inspected for food service since the entire time we've opened our doors, with or without a restaurant. They've always been their separate license from us. But we have the same license that they would have to be able to, if we decided we wanted to start food, we can do that without an inspection, because we've already passed, right? Our issue here is they don't know how to classify us. Right. So they don't know who to give the license to. They don't know who should carry it. Because of that, A1A requires a level 2 food services license. We have to get an exemption from the Department of Revenue, Liquor Control.
Because the spaces are connected?
Yeah. Well, it's not just because the spaces are connected. It's because they're providing our food. So the level 2 license, just so you can kind of understand it here, though, is pre-packaged food that you can heat up in a microwave. So like a Hot Pocket is a type of license we're required to have to serve liquor here.
So could you, in theory, get the A1A if you had a microwave and Hot Pockets stashed in a freezer?
We could.
And then also have food that is served out of a place next door that is connected.
The issue is that requires us to do a lot more. I mean, and we're already doing the work, but it's going to require, annual inspections and everything like that, which is fine. I'm happy to comply with that because, we get I think the lowest score we've ever gotten in Alexandria is a 98. So, it's not going to be a problem. But at the end of the day, it's okay. We need to figure this out, and they're having a tough time figuring it out.
Right.
It also required us to get what they call, it's basically a renovation permit. And at that point, all we had planned to do was paint and not do much else because the ceiling wasn't a problem.
Right.
But the food department made us get the license to do this because if we have to pull a food permit, we have to get this renovation license. And City of Westchester kind of came to me and said, okay, you need your sign permits. But honestly, this renovation permit to paint, we normally don't enforce that pretty heavy unless there's food involved. Because that's part of the county statutes say, okay, so in order to get the food license, you have to comply with local laws too. Right. And their law says technically you have to have that to paint. So there you go. So that's
moving along. Moral of the story.
Sorry.
It's moving along.
It's moving along. But I mean, it's so much deeper than what I'm scratching the surface here of how difficult the paperwork's been. On top of that, we wanted to make sure we had seats and everything like that. So we've got all that, which is now just piled up in here. But I guess when I bought this stuff, most of it came from an auction. We bought it not realizing that it had a pink hue to it. But once the light in here hit it, it's like all ugly as sin. So we're sanding all the tables down and we're refinishing all those.
Right.
So yeah, it's work, but we'll get there.
No, I know that there are a lot of people that are in this area that are just chomping at the bit to have those doors open.
I hope so.
If you guys have not been to Alexandria, don't wait until Westchester opens up. Get down to Alexandria, see what that's all about, and then come to Westchester and see how it's the same and how it's different, because it is. It's a very different space. Yeah. It's going to have a different personality. There will be things that kind of cross over and feel the same, but there's going to be a whole bunch that I think forms its own kind of soul up here too. And I'm excited to see how that develops.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me.
Links in the show notes for all of the social media that you need to know to get here. If you like this show, if you like any of the stuff that I do, go to thenarlygnome.com/support and you can support that way, and it helps out more than I can even begin to tell you. So thank everybody for being a fan of this and helping it keep going, and thank you for making time for me to do that.
Dude,
I'm sure there's a whole list of things that you could be doing instead of sitting here talking to me.
We're hearing some of it going on now, but yeah, thanks for having us.
Cheers, everybody. We'll be back. Cincy Brewcast is the voice of Cincy Craft.